Welcome today, Michael. We have Michael Callender from the American Club of Brussels today, and we're going to be talking about what it's like to live in Brussels, my old hometown. How are you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing great, Brian. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to everybody. How are you in sunny old England?
Well, I'm sitting in Spain right now, hence the sunburn, because England is just too cold, even in summer.
That's one of the benefits of a continental lifestyle. We get to get a little more flexibility in the variety of environs we get to live in.
Absolutely, absolutely. Everything's a hop, skip, and a jump. Michael, why don't you give us a little bit of your background? How did you end up in Belgium of all places?
Brian, thanks. I appreciate it. A series of unfortunate accidents, which led me here. I was stationed here about 25 years ago, and in the course of about a half a minute, I decided I would move from Okinawa, Japan, to an opportunity in Belgium. And of course, my family said, "Wow, Belgium, where's that?" And that really started my love affair with Belgium. But what cemented it is I stole the best that Belgium had to offer and dragged her around the world with me. And so, at the end of a very long career, and it was time to retire, we decided that we wanted to reside in the States, and I started working. But then I got a phone call and an opportunity that I couldn't turn down to work in Brussels. And with my wife being from Brussels and all of her family there, and being ex-military or retired military, I'd never been around family before. That was too good to pass up. And so, in about 4 months after we moved up to Boston, we moved across the pond to Brussels and been here for about 7 years. So it's just been fantastic.
You've been on a global culinary tour
Uh,
between Japan, Boston, Brussels. Geez, you've done
Absolutely.
well.
Yes, it has been really, really a great life. Difficult, but rewarding at the same time.
Difficult are those rainy days, but you can make
Well,
up for the
yeah.
rest of them.
Sometimes the weather in Brussels can get a little Northern European and depressing. However, the springs and the summers and early fall are just fantastic. The colors, the foliage, the hedges, and it's just a beautiful place to be. Doesn't get too hot in the summer, and it doesn't get too cold in the winter.
Absolutely. So, talking about accidental events, you accidentally became president of an organization that's near and dear my heart, of the American Club of Brussels.
Yeah,
How did this
Brian,
happen?
you're right. If it, Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And of course, like everybody else, COVID was a bit of a trying time. And I realized in my life I had become successfully miserable. While I had one great career and then started another career that was very successful and rewarding, that's all I was doing. I was a shell, and I needed something else. And so a friend of mine and a friend of yours encouraged me to join. And the timing was right because he was the president and stepping down, and the club was starting to come out of the post-COVID doldrums and needed somebody with some energy and some enthusiasm. And it was at the right time in my life because I needed to get involved in something that I can make a difference in. And the American Club of Brussels is just fantastic. It's made up of expat Americans that have been living over here, some of them for 6 months, some of them for 32 years. And then all of the Belgian friends that we have accumulated in the course of our lives. The club's about 70 regular members strong, and then we have about 30 associate members. So we meet at least once a month for Final Fridays. We have some big events throughout the year. And these big events are not just bringing the Americana to the Belgians, such as 4th of July or election night or Thanksgiving, but it's also things like Omegon. And Omegon, for the viewers that don't know, is it's really Prince Charles, before he became King Charles, who was the Holy Roman Empire at the time, went on a pub crawl with him and his best friends in the 14th century, and it has been reenacted ever since. And it is just an amazing event with full costumes and regalia and moving from place to place to commemorate what a young royal had done at the time, and it's really woven into the whole fabric of Brussels. But the club has offered me, even though I've lived here 7 years, an opportunity to explore things I wouldn't have ever seen. The royal gardens, waffle making classes. I never thought I'd be making waffles and enjoying it, or some of the other events, just discussing with everybody else. And so it has really been
Three,
fantastic.
three different kinds of sugar in a properly aged waffle, right? And
Absolutely. And
you can't just get the Swedish pearl sugar. You have to get a special Brussels kind. It's the
exactly.
intricate little details that are important.
And Brian, this, and this is what makes it special. We are really, we're an American club with an international heart, and this is more than just a watchword, because most of our members, while a large portion is from America, it's Belgians and British and Irish and expats from a number of different nationalities, and here we are. We get together in the middle of Brussels, and we enjoy each other's company.
Brilliant. I love it. I love the tradition of Omegang because that is something that most of us that have grown up in Belgium have never really taken part in. And it took the American Club to really introduce to me one of the biggest traditions. How many years has it been going on that every year they've done that parade?
I think they've been going on, and it's almost 400 or 500 years old. I mean, it really is crazy. And my wife, who is from Belgium, she never went to it. The reenactment of the Battle of Waterloo, she that was right around the corner from her house, and they knew about it, of course. But like everything, you don't pay attention to what's good in your own backyard. And so, by being a member of the club and then being exposed to the other folks around, we get this really unique opportunity. And we call it the American Club of Brussels, but we do so many other things around Belgium, whether it's the Bastogne reenactment, or going to Memorial Day to the American overseas cemeteries, or just going back to our roots, which was with after World War One. All of the Americans that were here and the Belgians at the time appreciated what President Wilson had done to really to save Belgium after the carnage of World War One. And so they started an informal society 103 years ago, and that society grew into the American Club of Brussels today. And we've had the ambassadors and to the Belgium, to the EU, and to NATO, all as honorary members and presidents. And it's just been a fantastic relationship that has grown from business-oriented folks to a much broader social networking oriented club that helps expats, as they're living here in Brussels, really navigate some of the challenges of moving from the United States, which is surprisingly an amazingly efficient bureaucracy, to Belgium, which, as much as I love it, there's a lot of bureaucracy, and you always need somebody to help you navigate through it, or at least find the right person that can help you navigate through it.
Oh, absolutely. And that being said, there's tons of affiliated organizations with the American Club of Brussels that you're able to leverage. It's not just the membership uh, for the American Club of Brussels.
Absolutely. We've got a wide network, whether that's on our Facebook page or with our partners like the American Women's Club, or the Millennial Club that's out here that does a lot of the films, or the expanded American Club of fill in the blank network through the Association of American Clubs around the world. It's a global organization where, if you join, and if you come to Brussels and join, or go to any of the other cities and join one of their clubs, you have reciprocal member benefits in all of the locations. And those are the kinds of things that can help you as you transition from being in the US over into into the European environment. But then those clubs don't stop at the borders of Europe. There's clubs in Mexico, Central America, over in Asia. And so it's really quite exciting to have a community that you understand help you in your new community. And this is really the power of our club.
Oh, absolutely. I've traveled to some of the events in London, in Paris, down in the French Riviera, and you're able to go to some of their tailored events, their highlight events, as you were speaking about Omegang and such. The Millennium Club, I haven't heard of that one before.
This is the film club that is here in Brussels, and they have different film producers, directors, and actors that come in, and they could do screenings occasionally. And so one of the big things that they did last year was with Oliver Stone when he came in through. There was another event going on, and then similarly, we had Unconditional Love, which was viewed in the European Parliament. And there's a Richard Liu from MSNBC News did basically a documentary about not only his father, who was going through an Alzheimer's towards the era during the edge of his life, but also with military veterans that came back with PTSD. And the point of the movie is the title. It's unconditional love that it takes as you're helping these people close to you through a very difficult period. And in Richard's life, and it's masterfully done. He talks very honestly about his father first being forgetful and then having to wear a name tag that says, "Hi, I'm Richard, your son." And I mean, it's not sad. It's actually quite moving because what it takes is that kind of commitment. And the exposure that we get to clubs like this and the offers gives us an insight that normally you wouldn't get while you're in the US and we have busy lives. When you're overseas, the exposure comes to you and then you have to reach out. And that's why the club really worked for me when I was in this kind of dark period coming out of COVID.
It is a great way to meet people and get out there, especially if you're first moving to Brussels. It gives you access to a full community and a full gambit of activities. Um, Give us some insight of what we should be looking forward to in the next year of the American Club.
Oh, absolutely. I always love the plugging of what some of our events are. Again, we always do a traditional Thanksgiving, which is, turkey carving at the table with 12 of your closest friends. The only difference between what we offer and what you do at home is all the silverware matches because we go to a big restaurant to have them do all the food for us. But what's great is we sit people down at the table. We go through the whole turkey process, including the carving. We do a little bit of rating who does the best job on carving the turkey, and it's just an opportunity for us to get together. We've got Omegang. We've got a financial forum that Brian, you, and Dunhill Financial are pushing in October with one of our other members, a Belgian member, Dave de Ruyter. He's wants to make sure that folks know what are those things that you can do when you come over and now you've got a new home and you've got to invest into something. We've got 4th of July coming up, Omegang, as we said, although I may have repeated that. And then in the fall, we're looking at a nuts ball, as we had talked about in the past. That may or may not go, but this commemorates the battle.
What is the nuts story? Yeah, you got to tell the nuts story.
So I forget. Not everybody is as old as me, but legend was, and it's not legend, but it's fact. In World War II, during the Battle of the Bulge, it was the last push from the Germans to try to outflank the Allies after D-Day. And the Germans really pulled out all the stops, but if it wasn't for the 101st and Brigadier General McAuliffe, who defended the town of Bastogne here in Belgium, Belgium would have been overrun and the Allies would have been outflanked and the war would have lasted for several more years. However, when he received a request from surrender from the German commander, he didn't know how to answer. He knew he couldn't give up. And so he just wrote back nuts. And that was it.
Yeah.
And that inspired General Patton to disengage with his current combat and drive north 3 days in order to relieve the besieged members at Bastogne. And the Belgians have never forgotten. There's often a lot of negativity about what Europe is. But when you come here and you see they don't forget. Every Memorial Day, every Veterans Day, every commemoration, it's always full. They remember the sacrifices that Americans made, along with the British and the Canadians and everybody else, in order to secure their independence. So that's really a moving tribute.
I remember meeting the mayor of Bastogne, and he was very proud to say that sadly, Bastogne is the most American city in all of Europe. And it takes you a moment to understand why. That's
Absolutely.
quite humbling. But they really respect
Yes.
the sacrifice that was truly made on that day, or on that period of time. But it's a lot of history
Going
in
back to the
Belgium.
Roman days, we have Roman roads, Roman ruins, the city of Tongeren, which is the best and the largest outdoor uh, 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 yard sale or antique market that there is. And it's right next to a Roman wall that was established in 100 AD or 150 AD. It's incredible.
Well,
And
we did this one great event with oh gosh, Derek Blythe,
yes,
who wrote the 50 Hidden Secrets of Brussels, and I loved his line. It was, the Parisians can't shut up about their history, but the Belgians can't remember most of it. And he was pointing out different places, and he found under a bunch of shrubs a remnant of the Roman wall that used to surround Brussels. After he pulled off a bunch of shrubs, there was a little sign that said, "To the Greek wall of Brussels." It was mismarked from years ago.
excellent. Excellent. So Belgium is a unique country. It's three different languages, three different sets of people, very, very diverse in what it is. It's the European capital, but it's also the capital of this country that's not quite Dutch and not quite French, and just a little bit of hint of German. And so it is lovely all the way around. And uh, if you're thinking of moving here, absolutely, I encourage you to do it because it is a great experience. You can travel from Belgium very easily, but you can also stay within the borders and absolutely have a fulfilling life. And it's with clubs like the American Club of Brussels that we can help make that transition successful and enjoyable for you and your family, and for whatever reason, whether you're a retiree or whether you're just a young student, or you're just an artist that wants a different venue. Van Gogh, he lived in Mons and did some of his work down in one of the cities in the south. So it's just there's so many good things to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. To me, every speech at Thanksgiving always ended in having to say three words: bon appetit, guten appetit, and schmackalek, which are the three languages ways of basically saying, to eat. There's a big culinary culture and a big drinking culture in a good way, in a positive way. We have a wonderful corporate member in Brandon Mitchner, who does wine presentations for the club quite often.
Absolutely.
Brings about some of the Belgian champagnes. I remember that one.
He does brings about Belgian champagnes, but he's not just confined to Belgium. He brings wines from all over, whether it's a Cypriot wine or some of the fine Portuguese wines and vintages that are out there. And that's really one of my favorite things. I'm sorry, I'm a wine guy. I transitioned from beer long ago because I'm no longer young. But absolutely, it is fantastic. And you brought the culinary culture up. I live in a walkable city. I'm an American. I want my car. But I live in a walkable city, and we go to very different restaurants that are essentially mom and pop restaurants all over the place, including one where it doesn't have a menu. It's just it's Capri du Chef. It's the will of the chef. Whatever they're going to be making that night, it's just fantastic. And then you get either, well, here's the secret of living in Belgium. Never order a bottle of wine unless you know what you're getting. Just get the house wine. It's better than anything we'll get in the U.S.
And you're not going to get the European wines in the U.S. pretty soon. No, that's
not good vintage.
We'll skip the politics.
Yeah,
We'll skip the politics.
It's great. So Brian, I appreciate that you're asking me. You're the one who's lived in Belgium the longest, and if you were to say, why Belgium, what would you say?
Oh, it's the cosmopolitan feel. That's to me what makes Brussels one of the finest countries in the world, or one of the finest cities in the world. It's the second most cosmopolitan city in the world, just behind Dubai. I think it's something like 70% of people in Brussels are foreign born.
Yes.
Dubai's above 90%. So you get a melting pot of everything. I was born in Belgium to an American parent and a British parent. If it wouldn't have been an American parent, most of my friends that were in the same situation where it was a French parent and a German parent, but they grew up in Belgium, if you ask them, they'll say, I'm European. And people will say, there's no such thing. Then they explain it, and it does start to make sense. Brussels is truly the beginning of the melting pot that's creating Europe. The extension is happening generation after generation. We're seeing more places in Europe where English is ubiquitous, where people have traveled the entire continent for work and for everything else. The center of that is Brussels, and that is really the epitome of great things. This is what makes New York City wonderful. It's what made Chicago wonderful, San Francisco wonderful, all these great American cities where it was a melting pot. And that's happening for Brussels right now. It translates into the food, the drink, the
Art,
nightlife,
family,
absolutely.
the social scene. It's not quite like our Dutch and Danish cities where everybody rides a bicycle, but it's going that way. It's a walkable city in that you could be downtown and 30-minute walk, you're in the suburbs, and it's not that bad a walk. And then just a little while after that, you're in the farm fields. And so it is compact, and you are not far from anything. And this spirit that's in Brussels, it's the heart of Europe, as you said, and you can run into anybody from anywhere and have a conversation. Many times that conversation's in English, but not always. I have been struggling with French, but I'm getting there, and it's just it warms my heart. Boston's my home. That's where I want to be. That's where I love. But being here, it just fits. It's nice.
It is a wonderful place. We've talked a little bit about the food culture there in Brussels. Any favorite dishes?
I knew you were going to ask me this. All right. Um, everybody likes or expects fancy French cuisine, and you can get that, and it is fantastic. Oh my God, I love in the fall when we get the rabbit and some of the game meat. It truly is different. But I love the old Belgian dishes, the ones that are simple. It's comfort food. It's not the comfort food I grew up with, but it just fits. Toast à champignon. It's just toast with mushrooms and butter, or mushrooms, butter, and cream. Delicious. Vol au vent, which is essentially their chicken a la king, but it's done a little different way. So these dishes are just fantastic. Carbonade, which is just a stew, but it's stew with good beer, and it's fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. Those hearty foods, the stump, right?
Yes,
Just
stump.
mashed potatoes with carrots.
Carrots.
I don't know why. Wintertime, that's a go-to.
It
So
sticks to your ribs, makes you warm inside, and fills you up. And it is a great way to say, wow, this embodies the area. You can go to Italy and get pasta and pizza, and it's great, but you can get that anywhere. You can go to the East and get sushi, or
you're going to get some hate mails from some people from Italy, but that's your
this.
problem there.
There is fantastic stuff everywhere, but the vol au vent, the stew, the carbonade, these things just hit the spot.
Oh, absolutely. And we've got one of our guests on the webinar that pointed out Liège style waffles. did you know the difference between Brussels and Liège style waffles before you moved over there?
No, not at
Did
all.
did you know that there could be such delicious waffles before you moved to Belgium?
No, no, I did not. And for a waffle for me was a breakfast food, not an afternoon snack. Meatballs Liège. My daughters love them. It's just the way that the way they prepare.
Well, to me, it was when I figured out which ones were the good Liège waffles and which ones were not using the proper pearl sugar. It
Mhm.
has to have that glistening on the outside. That's what a Belgian pearl sugar does. It goes to the outside, whereas Swedish pearl sugar goes to the middle. It's cheaper, it's easy. You can buy Swedish pearl sugar over at IKEA, but it doesn't do the same thing and it doesn't caramelize in that same way.
It
So
does.
if you don't see that crystallization on the outside, don't waste your time. Don't
I,
waste your couple of euros.
yeah, I couldn't agree more, sir. And then, of course, we've talked about many of the great things that Belgium may not be known for, but of course, the beer, the chocolate, the lace. I mean, lace has been something that's been in Belgian history. That's really how Bruges made its name. And then the way that they do it is if you see one of the old ladies passing the things back and forth, it becomes uh, difficult to see how they're making the pattern that they're making, but they certainly produce some great results. And then, over 372 breweries making multiple different types of beer, outstanding. And then chocolate, yeah, the
Where,
chocolate.
where where's your go-to chocolate place, Michael? I'm gonna judge you on this one. I'm gonna judge you really hardly on this if you get this wrong.
Um, I'll tell you, my go-to chocolate place is right around the corner. It's a local one. It's not one of the big brands, and so it's a
Okay.
chocolatier, and they use 70% cocoa in their dark chocolate, and it's just fantastic here in Brussels, or in
If you
where I live, which is Walloway Saint Pierre.
Oh, beautiful. I constantly have the argument where people think that Pierre Marcolini is the best chocolatier, but they do the fanciest stuff. But I'm a big fan of the King's chocolate, which is Mary's. It
Yeah,
used to have just the one downtown by the Complex, but now they
yeah.
have multiple. But it is top quality. No
They,
wasting time on a fancy design. It's just top quality chocolate.
I would agree. You're asking. Where's the best pizza? It's hard to get a good answer, but I'm willing to do it because it's great to try.
Absolutely. There's not that many bad ones as long as it's not in the front of the grocery store.
I,
You stay away from those. There's such a good chocolate history. I think it was Newhouse was the first one that actually put the praline, i.e. the nut
well,
instead.
yeah, and it's funny how they did this. I learned this through the club. Is it was a chocolate coating for medicine, and they decided it was Newhouse's grandson that decided to put it on a praline. On a nut or something, and then it took off from there. And then
This sounds so Mary Poppins, Michael.
I
Are you gonna go into song and dance now?
No, 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 not song and dance for me. Trust me, I know my abilities. But I mean, what really, Belgians can't remember their history, but there are some things that you can absolutely trace from point to point to point. And whether it's the art history, whether it's the culinary history, like I was just saying, or you go to any of their uh, old monasteries like the ones in Valver and in Spa. There's there's so much local history. It's not necessarily written down in English, but when you meet a tour guide or you start talking, then it just flows, and you're amazed at what happened. Here's a good one. You know what was written in the Grand Place of Brussels?
I have no idea. Enlighten me.
Maybe I should not say this on this kind of an event, but the Communist Manifesto.
Really?
Marx and
Well,
Engels, when they were kicked out of Paris and London, stayed in the Grand Place for several months and began to craft the tenets that Engels would later create and publish as the Communist Manifesto.
Well, I guess one road off the main boulevard in Brussels is Stalinstraat. So there was a nice little communist movement in Brussels, just like there was across Europe
So
at
we go
different
to the
times.
Royal Span. That was because Brussels was the Spanish Netherlands.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tons of history. You got the Crusades, you've got Waterloo, you've got World War I, World War II, with Ypres and Bastogne. If
Yeah.
you're talking about, if you're a war buff, there's plenty of opportunities.
There's plenty of opportunities for history. There's plenty of opportunities for marketing or engaging with businesses. All of the top corporations have their headquarters here in Europe to interface with the European Union, with NATO, with Eurocontrol, all the associations that are there. I was able to give a speech downtown at a Cercle de Aerospace Security and Defense in the Club Royal pour le Guide, which was the King's mounted guard. It wasn't the original chasseurs or mounted guard in Belgium. That has a longer history, but this was the personal one. And it's right off Place du Luxembourg, which is across from the European Union itself and the Parliament. And so it was just amazing to go into this old facility that has been a functioning club for 157 years. And the club members are all part of the Belgian Royal Army.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, in that area, you have a lot of museums. I think it's 100 museums just in downtown Brussels.
I don't know the exact number, but the big one that I really enjoy going to is the Natural History, or
The Natural Science Museum?
not the Science Museum, the one right off Place Sablon. It's the National Museum of History, and
Okay.
this is where they have all of the exhibits and the large, Renaissance paintings, all the way to the Magritte, where the guy's banging his head on the bell. So
Ceci n'est pas un pipe.
yeah, exactly. It's fun. And then you have architecture like the Saint Contenaire, which was the 50th anniversary, and it's these winged, arched ways of. It's kind of like the Arc de Triomphe with some wings. So I would call it a cross between St. Peter's Cathedral, St. Peter's Square, and the Arc de Triomphe. But they've got in there the Military History Museum, Auto World. Belgium was a big auto producer at one time in the beginning of the century, and then the Natural History Museum with some art from the Congo, art from Central America, and then these huge Roman mosaics. It's just fascinating to go to, and it's a lot of it, especially the natural history part, is from the era, the pre-civilization eras around these regions. So it's quite fascinating.
There's always plenty to do. Have you done the nocturnes in the museums yet, Michael?
I have not.
Oh, I think it's wintertime each Thursday night. They pick a different museum and keep it open for the evening. Lots of times having a nice little band and more importantly, a bar to enjoy everything.
So I'm a big martial artist. I've been doing Aikido for most of my life, and the thing that warms my heart the most is every Aikido club in their own dojo has a bar.
As it should.
Nowhere else in the world will that happen.
I learn something new about you every time I talk to you. The Renaissance man and Michael, every single time I learn more.
You're very kind, sir. But for everybody that's listening right now or going to watch this, absolutely. We've made Belgium our home, even though my wife is from here. It is a great, welcoming place for expats. And we really hope that you consider it. And when you do consider it, please come talk to us. We want to help. We want to make your transition easy, and we want to support you as you find a new place to live and explore the rest of the world.
Where do they find you? Where do they find the club?
Great place to find us is either on Facebook, Instagram, or on our website. Yeah, we're all old, not quite, but and that's at www.americanclubofbrussels.com. Just do a search for it, and you can see some of the events that we're doing, how to get to be part of the club, some of the history, and then what are the good things, practical tips you need as you decide to transition over into a more European lifestyle.
Brilliant. Well, you're making me really jealous about being in Brussels. I need to make it back soon and enjoy some of the wonderful activities of the club. I know it's a thankless job being president of the club, but somebody has to do it. And so from all the members and all the prospective members, a huge thank you to you, Michael, and the entire board. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. And we look forward to talking to you soon, Michael.
Thank you so much, Brian, and best of luck to everyone.